Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to wait now. People are logging on, so we're just going to wait a couple of minutes and give everyone a chance to log on. That's great. There's a good few people logging on there. Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar this afternoon. I'd like to introduce you to Deirdre Brennan from Digital Outputs, who's going to start the first webinar on a series of 3 webinars about selling on Instagram. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat box or the Q&A, and we'll take them at the end of the session. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Deirdre.
Great. Thanks a million, Mary. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? As Mary said, I'm delighted to be delivering the first of a series of 3 webinars on getting started selling on Instagram. So essentially, we're just going to cover the ABCs of getting set up and enhancing your strategy, and then maybe the third session will be targeting. So for today, we'll be starting from the very beginning, so covering all of the basics that you need to know to connect your shopping catalog to your Instagram profile and how to optimize that. Next week, we'll have a look at developing your strategy, more so organically than necessarily paid promotion. So how to know what's working and how to optimize that. And then for week 3, we'll be covering optimizing strategy, particularly with regard to paid promotion and advertising, so for clicks and sales. So those will be the 3 weeks. So as I mentioned, today is going to be just the basics getting started. Just a little bit about who I am and our company. We're a little digital agency established in early 2002. We're based in Kilkenny, but we serve the wider Southeast. Initially, many moons ago, it would have been design, print, branding, promotion, marketing, some limited web design, but just as the market evolved and as client needs evolved, we've kind of pivoted to offer some digital strategy, website analysis, and website development, etc. So that is who we are and what we do. Some of our clients that we serve frequently, you can see just examples there. So lots of variety, but predominantly being based in the Southeast, we actually have an awful lot of small producers, crafters, design, small companies, etc. So we've served the creative sector for quite a while since the beginning, and we offer, again, as I said, a range of services: printing, product production, branding, promotion, etc. Just a little bit about my own experience. I had qualified quite a while ago with a degree in software development from Trinity College, and pretty much immediately started in the family business. Early days, I was working in-house as the graphic designer until we expanded our team, and just various skills and services that we needed to offer, particularly photography. I went and did a City and Guild in WIT, just so that we could do product photography, etc. For the services that we offered. And as the market evolved, then just more and more there was this integration with traditional print and digital, and just to better serve clients, etc. I went back and did a postgrad in digital marketing strategy. That was in 2017. And I've been working with the local enterprise office since then. And my lockdown project then, just for last year, was an advanced diploma in social media and media law. So I'm very interested and engaged with the digital space. I've been working with Design and Crafts Council for a year and a half, primarily as a mentor, and I've been involved with the e-commerce bootcamp. So that's enough about me. I think the topics for today, just as an overview, what we will cover will include getting started, just the very basics of getting started, setting up your Instagram profile, importing your catalog, how to do that, and just tips towards optimizing your product catalog, your copy, imagery to use, etc. How you will tag your products across the various types of content that you can add on Instagram. So I'll explain all of those types of content to you as well, and how to get more then from your Instagram. So a little bit about tips for creating successful shopping posts and how to manage your strategy. Again, we'll expand on that next week in week 2, and we'll just give a little introduction as well to the content marketing cycle. So that will be what we'll cover today. So to start with, just to cover some statistics relating to Instagram and how effective it can be. In general, social media has 4.2 billion active users globally. That's social media across the board, but according to research from Hootsuite, they do a global digital overview every year, and they record 33% of 16 to 64-year-olds list their reason for using social media to find out more about brands, or to source. Maybe 28% list a reason to source products or services. So you effectively have 1/3 of that audience in that space that are looking to find out more about you or your products. Specifically then, more specifically to Instagram, Instagram globally has 1 billion users, active monthly users is what they say. And active daily users then drops to 500 million. So you have quite an extensive user base for specifically Instagram. It's the 7th most popular website globally. And as I said, lovely, positive platform, really great for small businesses and small producers, etc. Getting more closer to home then, just as regards Ireland, over 2 million users of Instagram, again, active users on Instagram in Ireland alone. You can see there that 57, just above 57% are female. So the women top the men slightly. And then those red bars there are the women across every age category, and the blue then likewise are the men. And just to note that from 18 to 44, 70% of Instagram users fall within that age category. So if your target audience are within that age group, then Instagram is absolutely the place for you to be. Okay. When it comes to user stats then on the space in Ireland, people, I'd imagine this time estimation is slightly conservative, but people spend up to 2 hours on social media in general every day. And then more specifically to Instagram, the average duration of a session on Instagram is 3 minutes. And again, this is just drawing upon the Hootsuite research. You can see that there are 49% more engagement on video as opposed to static imagery. So essentially, you have a 3-minute window to grab your audience's attention and get their eyes in front of what you would like them to see. So you can just gain some insight on your strategy development from those stats there. So in a hat tip to Julie Andrews, we're going to start at the very beginning. So when you're selling on Instagram, getting set up, you've got 6 steps that you'll need to cover. Step 1 will be to confirm your eligibility and create your account. Now, eligibility, you need to make sure that your products comply with Instagram commerce policies, etc. And you need to be in an eligible market. Now, Ireland is an eligible market, so you tick that box. You will also need to set up a business profile, and I'll detail that in one of the upcoming slides. That will be step 2. Step 3 then will be to connect your Facebook business page. Step 4, you can upload or import your product catalog, and there are a number of ways that you can do that. So I'll outline those options. Step 5 will be to complete, you have to submit your account to Instagram then for review. And they'll assess whether you fulfill all of their eligibility criteria, and they'll approve your account, and then you activate your shopping. So 6 very easy steps to follow to get your Instagram shopping account established. Okay, so step number 1, if you don't have an Instagram profile, you can set up from scratch. So ideally, you log in, add your email address to your account. You'll also need to set your profile picture. And again, just as best practice, your profile picture should be designed to specifically fit the space, either your brand logo or an element of that, but it should be styled and it should be proportionate to that space. Ideally, your username would be consistent across all of your digital channels. just as best practice for ease of navigation for your audiences. So if possible, set the same username across your channels. And then you can see there that you have the option to discover people by connecting to your contacts or your Facebook page. When writing your brand bio, you have a space to add information about your brand. You want to include things like your key brand messaging, keywords that will optimize discovery for you, and include any relevant hashtags that might be appropriate to your market. We will discuss hashtags in detail next week and how to devise effective hashtag strategy. But for that bio space, don't be afraid to show a little bit of personality and describe your motivators, you know, again, key brand messaging, why it is that you do what you do. The next step then would be the conversion to this professional profile. So when Instagram was established in 2011, there was just a personal profile. In 2016, they introduced a business profile, and then they tweaked or changed it slightly in 2019, broadened it to a professional profile, and you now have these two options within that category. So don't be confused by the creator element. Specifically, that's targeting influencers or content creators in the platform. For the purposes of the Instagram Selling on Instagram series, we're going to focus mostly on your business profile. That's the option that you're going to choose. And the reason for that is you've got better options from an advertising and promotion point of view, and just the functionality and the tools for e-commerce that you have in the background. So you would be setting up or converting your account from a personal account to a business account. And I'll take you through the steps on how to do that now. So from a personal account, if you've just set up an Instagram, you will need to convert it to a business profile. And you do that by navigating to your profile. You want to select the menu in the top right-hand corner, select settings and account, and then switch to professional. So you can see the options there. It'll tell you details of what you can do. Once you hit continue, you can select the category that best suits you. I've selected shopping and retail there. And after that, then you'll be presented with this option whether you want to set up as business or creator. So even though you are creators, select business there. At any point, you can switch between the two. If you think the options don't suit you, by all means explore. You can switch between your different types of accounts by following those steps. Your next step then in getting set up will be to connect your business page on Facebook. Connecting to Facebook is something that you have to do in order to set up your shopping. I would also recommend that you import your catalog through Facebook as well, and there are a number of reasons for that. One is you just have access to far better marketing tools through Facebook. So you will need to connect your account, and I would also recommend that you import your catalog there as well. So to connect your account to Facebook, oops, apologies. Perfect. You want to navigate to your profile setting. Again, select menu in the top right-hand corner, select settings, business, and then connect to Facebook. And you'll see you have a number of options there. You can create a Facebook page, or you can connect to an existing page. And I've selected connect to existing, and it will take you through to log in to your Facebook page there. And as I mentioned, I would recommend that you also import your catalog through that space. Facebook offers tracking on your audience's activities, particularly connecting and clicking through from your social media to your website. You track by what's called a Facebook pixel, and you can connect and target your audiences using that tracking a snippet. So what you will need to do will be to access business.facebook.com and set up a Facebook Business Manager account that will be linked to your Facebook profile and ultimately your page. And once you do that, you can navigate to your commerce manager, and that will allow you to manage various elements of your commerce and how you import and connect your products. So when you click on catalog, you'll see data sources. And when you select that option, you'll have a number of ways that you can upload or import your catalog in that space. So you can manually input your product details one by one by filling out a form and uploading your imagery. You also have the option to do it in bulk using a spreadsheet or a Google document. So you'll need to catalog and gather all of the information about your products. And the third option there then will be to import your catalog using your Facebook pixel, which has been connected to your website. So a little bit of technical consideration there if you choose to use the pixel. But as I said, I would definitely recommend that you import and connect your catalog in this manner, because you can target, you can track, you can advertise. So you have far more effective marketing tools through your business manager and your ads manager. Okay. And the other way that you can connect your e-commerce profile would be to navigate to your settings in your profile, go to account, business, and set up Instagram shopping. And you can see when you do that, you've got a number of options that will explain exactly what you can do. Once you hit get started, you can connect a catalog, either add a new catalog directly or import using a partner. So there are a number of options for e-commerce partners that you can collect directly through the Instagram app itself, and they will connect to your e-commerce website catalog and import those products directly to your Instagram account. So that's also an option, but as I said, I would recommend Facebook. Once you have your account set up by following those steps and you connect your business profile, you can submit your shop for review with Instagram. So check your business details, submit for review, and you'll get the following message. It will take maybe a few days up to a week for them to review your account. And once that process has been concluded, you will receive the message that you've been approved for Instagram shopping. And when you do that, you can activate your shopping, select settings, click into business and shopping, and you can check to verify that your product catalog has been imported. You'll see options to select a catalog, etc. And you're essentially ready to begin tagging your products in your Instagram content from there. And when your users then view your profile, they will then see the view shop and call to action button in your profile, so they can navigate through your collections and browse your products. So those are the steps that you follow to get set up and established with your Instagram shopping account. As regards tips for developing or optimizing your product catalog, ultimately the main goal here would be to remove any barriers at all to your audiences converting or completing a sale. So you want to provide them with as close to the real life shopping experience as possible. Mainly that will be by how you add detailed, be it imagery or product copy to your product catalog. So you will need to provide them with answer all of the questions that they might have about your products, and give them a catalog of imagery that they can view. What you'll need to do initially will be to set up your brand aesthetic, so your brand style, tone of voice, etc. Set up, establish it, formalize it in a document, and stick to that. You want to use high quality photos that showcase your products. Provide a number of multiple product views. So you want to give them every angle, essentially, and a close-up on any detail. So effectively mimic, through your use of imagery, them picking up the product to investigate. So consider things like 360 product video views, or in-place product photographs. So if it's an item of clothing that you wear, or product placement photography, do both product imagery and in context imagery, just to communicate effectively through the imagery all of the details of your product. As regards your product copy, then you want to include any key brand details in the product copy. So if your materials are locally sourced, ethically sourced, environmentally friendly, those are key brand messages that you want to communicate in your product description. anticipate, even if you're meeting customers in person and they have certain queries about your products, any frequently asked questions should also be addressed. Sometimes people include care instructions, but anything that might cause them to inquire or ask a question, you want to anticipate and provide that answer in advance, so that they have ultimately no barrier to clicking the button and making this the purchase. One other thing that you could consider there would be to include social proof. So if you have a product review, if there's an image for that, you could include that in your product photography. Some e-commerce platforms provide that on product pages as well, but it's just something that's very influential and something to consider including there. So 3 basic steps there for you to follow that will help you optimize your product catalog for more effective sales. Okay. Ultimately, the main advantage when it comes to Instagram shopping is that it will provide higher conversion or sales for you as a business, but also an enhanced user experience for your audiences. So they can view your products without leaving the platform at all, access any of the information, and with the click of a button proceed to the checkout. So you're getting, again, you're taking advantage of that 3-minute window. You're getting them to the product that they're looking for in as short a time as possible. As regards creating and tagging your content, once you're established and you've imported your product catalog, you are then free to tag the products in those posts. And you do that by adding any particular type of content. So you can see this plus icon, it's available in the home icon on your Instagram and also your profile. And when you select that button, you'll see that you can create a range of post types. So just for the sake of clarity, we'll be focusing on the top 3 types of content there, but a post can be a static image, a carousel post where you're navigating through a number of images, or video content, and they permanently stay on your profile, those posts. A reel then is short form video content. It's to rival TikTok content. So you've got a 30-second short form entertaining video that you can create. And the stats on reel content are very positive, very high engagement. And again, we'll explore that in more detail next week. Next, you have a story, and a story is vertical photo or video content. It's up to 15 seconds in duration, and it will disappear after 24 hours. So your story will appear as your product profile icon in the home tab on Instagram. And again, very engaging. People will click in and you can see how many people view. You have great metrics and insights that you can gain from stories. And then your story highlight it's the same as a story, but it will archive that content. And you have the option later on then to add that highlight content to your profile and answer topical questions or frequently asked questions. So again, a very useful feature for communicating with your audiences. Live video then would be a Facebook or Instagram live, effectively broadcast to your followers. And guides are a new type of content, a reasonably new type of content, and they're a cross between a carousel post and a blog post. So you can catalog content in a more extensive way by using guides. But for the sake of today, we're going to focus on the top 3. So as you add your first piece of content, you can click on that plus icon, select the image that you want to use as part of your product copy. There are editing tools you can filter, and you can also edit, tweak brightness or contrast, adjust, crop, etc. So you can tweak your imagery within the app itself. And once you progress, you hit the next button on that page, you'll see the option to add copy to your post. And you can see then that there's this tag products option. And when you select that tag, you'll see a list of your product catalog, and you just select the relevant product that you would like to tag in that post. And that is how you tag your products. So you can see then that any product post that has been tagged has this shopping cart icon in the bottom left-hand corner. And when your audience tap on that post, in this particular type, the teddy bear is for sale. You'll see the click and the click here for details, and you'll be taken directly then to the product page. You can see this carousel images that are your product images that you can scroll from the top, and then ultimately to check out, you're navigating straight through to the product website. That is how you tag your products in your post. So whether it's video, reels, stories are slightly different, so I'll take you through that content, but the same way that you would have been tagging other profiles or people in posts, you now have the option to tag your products as well. Next, if we were to select a story in that section, I've just chosen a little cookie monster GIF here as the story that you're going to add. But once you add that GIF, you can see that at the top there's a sticker icon. And when you select that option, you then have the product tag option that you can tag within that story. And on the right-hand side there, then you can actually edit the product name, the style of the tag, you can adjust its location on your story. And your customers likewise, when they tap on that tag, will be taken directly to your products from your stories. So really, really great customer journey simplification there that they can tag or click straight through to your content, your product content from your stories. Okay, so those are the various types of product tagging that you can do in your content. Just one significant new development from Instagram that's just happened in the last number of weeks. Instagram has always treated they've given privileged functionality and access to certain types of accounts, ultimately the verified accounts with the blue tick, or accounts that had more than 10,000 followers. And predominantly the main advantage to that was you could add a swipe up to click a link in your story. So it was really, really lovely functionality, but only to those specific account types. But what they've done since last August, they've actually retired their swipe up to click option, and they've included now a link that you can add to your story instead. So you can now add a website link, but ultimately, initially, it was just for those specific types of accounts, verified and plus 10,000 followers. But on the 27th of October this year, they've opened that functionality to all types of accounts. So now you can add a link to any web page in your story by, again, clicking on that sticker tab in the story and selecting link. So if you decide that connecting to Instagram shopping is too complex, you just want to use Instagram to promote your business, your activities, you can still add a link to your blog posts, your product imagery, your websites, competitions, newsletters, you name it. You can now add a link to any of your stories. So it's a really excellent addition to your content marketing strategy. You can add links to stories. They show great engagement. You can monitor how many people click through, and it will really enhance your call to action strategy and ultimately your content marketing strategy. So you're no longer just relying upon follow the link in bio. You can actively add the clicks directly to your content. So really, really significant development there. And just, as I said, just in the last number of weeks. So ultimately, that's how you import your catalog and create shopping posts on your Instagram. As regards creating shopping posts then that convert, so there are certain best practice principles that you want to stick to or be mindful of as you create your content. Number one would be to use a very strong call to action. So you want to directly communicate with your audiences and tell them what it is that you want them to do. So add the content and request for them to click the link or browse your products. So be direct in how you invite them to take action. Number two, again, define and maintain your brand aesthetic. Use high quality imagery, stick to your brand style and tone. And again, as I said, make sure that you work on and formalize that brand style guide just for clarity. Number 3 then would be spacing the tags in your imagery. So any post that you add on Instagram, you can tag up to 5 products, which is really useful. For a carousel post, you can tag up to 20. Now you may or may not find that useful, but if you offered a range of products, earrings, necklace, bracelet, you can have a product shot of the line and then tag the individual products in that. So it can be very, very useful. Likewise for any range. But just as you tag products, make sure that they're spaced just for ease of access and use. If they're too cluttered, it'll get confusing and difficult. Include and add relevant hashtags. And again, we're going to cover hashtag strategy, but hashtags are a way that you can promote your content to wider audiences and get them in front of new audiences ultimately. So we'll talk about developing effective hashtag strategy next week. But definitely add your hashtags to content and stories and post copy, etc. Definitely to expand reach. And again, showcase your products. So make sure high quality imagery, that a minimum of 3 product shots per product in your catalog, but you want to showcase exactly what the product is about. Give all of those details, give the up close. And again, just on brand quality imagery, just to put the best face on your product content. And lastly then would be that use of video. So strive or experiment to record some sort of video, just because it is far more effective and engaging than your still imagery. So if you're apprehensive about that, potentially short form video for your stories is an ideal place to start. They're 15 seconds in duration and they disappear after 24 hours. But video, as mentioned, has a significantly higher level of engagement as opposed to just still imagery. And it's definitely worth considering, even if it was just that 360 product view type video. Definitely try to make some strides towards recording or capturing a video to showcase your content. Okay, so those are the tips to establish and create your product shopping posts on Instagram. Just by way of encouragement, before we move forward, Simon Sinek is someone I admire. He's a very effective kind of motivating communicator, but he said there recently that it's better to go slow in the right direction than to go fast in the wrong direction. And as you start, sometimes this digital space can be quite overwhelming, but set your strategy, earmark time in your week to capture content and plan how you're going to share or communicate with your audiences, and start with something that's sustainable and achievable for you, and then grow from there. You don't have to start at a gallop, but you will need to start somewhere, and you're better to start in the right direction slowly than to be going in the wrong direction quickly. So as regards tips for managing your strategy, we'll talk in depth about this next week, but developing a content strategy and plan is really, really important. And generally when I speak to people about this, they're almost allergic to the idea of it, but it is absolutely essential if you're going to be effective in the space. So what you want to do to start with would be to research your audience, who your customers are, what are their interests and what are their needs, and you want to present them with the solution for what their needs are. Okay, so you're researching, you're exploring, and trying to gain insight on who your markets are. You also want to research the market in general and maybe some of your competitors. So you'll need to look at brands that you admire. Actually have a look through their Instagram profiles. You know, look at the type of content that they create or share, how frequently they do that, and what kind of engagement they get. So do people interact with that? Do they get likes? Do they get comments? Just explore how it is that they're communicating with their audiences. You'll find insight and inspiration as you do that, but it's really, really important that you're aware of the market and your place or position in that. So you want to research both the audiences and the market in general. You also want to define and communicate your key brand messaging. And that is something that you will be consistently reinforcing as you communicate with audiences. Again, the why you do what you do, what defines or makes your product, ultimately what makes your product unique. So you want to define that, communicate it both in your bio and in your strategy. You'll incorporate or implement that. And then you'll also strive towards making various or creating various types of content. So that would be the steps that you would take to approach developing your content strategy and plan. I would recommend that you use some sort of social media calendar. Now it's a preference. I prefer a physical calendar. I have a wall planner on my wall, and I'll tag significant dates or events that I need to keep an eye on. But from a brand messaging point of view, plan out either 6 months or 12 months in advance. So look ahead to your year. January is an ideal time because you're after the Christmas rush, and you can sit down and take stock and plan in advance. You want to mark the significant, whether it's product launches, events, significant times of the year that are important to you or your business. Literally mark those on the calendar, and then you'll devise a communication plan in the lead up to those events. So those significant things are predictable, and you can schedule that content in advance. You know your brand messaging, and you can create and schedule content around that. So to use a social media calendar isn't essential, but it is highly recommended. You'll end up organizing your messaging. Nothing will slip through the cracks, if you like. You'll plan in advance and schedule the key important things that you need to communicate with your audience. Ultimately, it will save you time. You know that your key brand messaging is going out because you've scheduled content in advance. It frees you up to be a little more spontaneous in the day-to-day with your communication with your audiences. And it will also help you maintain your messaging consistency. So you know, these are my brand messaging, these are the events that I need to make my audiences aware of. And these are the things that are important to me. And those things will consistently go out through your communication strategy. And lastly, then, I would make heavy use, in conjunction with your social media calendar, I would make heavy use of a scheduling tool. And the natural one in this space would be Creator Studio on Facebook. There are some tools, there are paid services, you've Later and Hootsuite, that are specifically suited to Instagram. But you can schedule key content or messaging in advance. And again, as I said, it frees you up to be a little more spontaneous and authentic as you communicate with your markets or your audiences. Now, we will cover how to develop both your content strategy and your social media calendar more in depth next week. And the other content that we'll have a look at next week will be this content marketing cycle. So ideally, from those steps in the previous slide, you will research your audience, the market in general, competitors. You'll set goals for your own business. So what do you want to happen? Your content strategy then will be, how are you going to make that happen? You'll develop content around hitting those goals or targets. You distribute that content, track the action or the engagement from your audiences, review what has worked and what hasn't. And then that review will provide insight for your future planning, and that will cycle on itself. So ultimately, that's how you develop your strategy. And as I said, we'll look at that in depth next week through the various types of content that you can create and strategies that you can employ to optimize or maximize that. So that is everything from the getting started webinar. So I'll open it up there for questions. I know there are a few questions there in the chat. Mary, if you want to. Okay, I can see here, Ethna, you've asked that is Facebook essential and can you change from personal to business? Yes, so Facebook, you have to link your Facebook business page to your Instagram in order to sell. You don't necessarily need to import your catalog through Facebook. You can do that directly natively in Instagram. But as I said, I would recommend that you do it, you connect through Facebook, because you have an awful lot more flexibility and functionality in your tools that you can use. But you will need to have a Facebook business page, yeah.
That's brilliant. Deirdre, thanks a million. There's a couple of questions there on the Q&A also.
Yeah.
I understand that Facebook owns Instagram, but can a business just use Shopify and Instagram and bypass Facebook?
You will need, as I said, you will need the business page. You do need to connect to Facebook. You don't have to use it, but Facebook bought Instagram and they still want to be able to retain the data and metrics. You don't need to have a Facebook profile, but you do need to connect a business page. You can import your catalog directly to Instagram from Shopify, or connect to Instagram as a shopping channel in the back end of Shopify. So you have a couple of options there. But as I said, I would suggest or recommend that you connect through Facebook Business Manager if you plan to pay for advertising or promotion, because you've just more effective tools and targeting available to you there.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
The next question, does it matter what profession you list in your profile? I am a fashion designer, but I have selected entrepreneur and hidden that so that I can use a wider range of music. Would this affect my reach on Instagram to viewers looking for fashion?
It may impact. Now, again, Instagram heavily relies upon your hashtag strategy. So as long as you're incorporating healthy hashtags for the niche area that you're operating in, you should maintain reach, but you will need to do a little research and just make sure you're using effective hashtags there. So sometimes it's for searchability and reach that you'll select those categories, but by no means are you defined or penalized if you know it's not a hold all. It's not as easy to pigeonhole people as we would like. It's just from their end so that they can categorize. But hashtags, etc., would be a good way to counteract that.
Okay. The next question is, what does selling via the Instagram product catalog mean for the actual transaction?
So you have a couple, there are changes, it's evolving all of the time. So at the moment, the advantage of Instagram shopping is that your audience don't need to leave Instagram to view your product catalog. But if they choose to purchase at the moment, you're clicking to view on your website and they check out directly on your e-commerce website. So ultimately, it's just streamlining that customer journey, getting them directly from the post that has caught their attention on Instagram through to the product landing page on your website, and you can check out as you normally would from there. Instagram are at the moment rolling out a checkout service. It's only available in the US, but again, it's going to roll out across their various markets globally, which means that you'll be able to check out directly in Instagram. I'm not 100% sure if I'd recommend that, because you lose those key metrics and details from your website traffic as such. You know, Instagram then controls the lion's share of the information tracking and user insights, etc. So I would be of the opinion that you've a vested interest to have an independent retail presence online, and that you wouldn't solely rely upon any of these apps exclusively. So that is something that's coming down the line. It's not currently available in Ireland, but it will be shortly. But for the moment, what it is that you're doing is you're getting your customer from your post on Instagram directly through to your product landing page on your website with one click. So it's just a very efficient way to reach to get them to the landing page you want them to get to.
Great. Thanks, Deirdre. And there's a couple of questions in about what's the best way to research our audience, or how to find the right audience in Ireland?
You probably have an awful lot of insight that's latent, and that you know why your customers might come and purchase your products. So there's a certain amount that you'll think about. We'll cover this in detail next week. I'm going to speak about organic ways that you can define markets. When it comes to your digital channels, for the likes of Instagram, there are ways on the Insights tab that you can track who your followers are, what gender, age range, interest, etc. So there's lots of insights that you can gain specifically from digital channels. But it depends ultimately on where you're starting out from. If you're just setting up an Instagram account, it's real world insights that you're trying to gain. There are market research tools that you can access online. It's another way. But ultimately, if you're starting from scratch, you're mining your own latent knowledge. If you have an established presence on any digital channel, you can access insights directly from there. And again, as I said, next week we'll be looking at how to research your audiences and gain insights on who your followers are and what they might be interested in.
Okay. Then there's another question there. Do you have a payment gateway in Instagram? I think you might have answered that already there a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah, at the moment, no, not in Ireland. They are rolling out that checkout option, but as I said, I think it might be prudent to keep an independent payment option or a gateway. And one simple example would be, when all of them went down there in October, we lost Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, and it meant that people who were solely relying on those channels had no way of transacting. Now, albeit it was short-lived, but I just think from a strategy point of view and just a risk mitigation and future-proofing point of view, I think you are in a better position when you have an independent e-commerce or retail space and you can check out. Instagram will be providing that, as I said. There will be an associated cost with it, but you might be better served by maintaining some independence.
There's another question here. I do not like the incestuous nature of using only Meta products. Future re-regulation efforts would seem to favor creators using several suppliers of technology, example, Shopify, PayPal, Twitter, Instagram. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree. It's like I said, when you solely rely upon one company, you're at a disadvantage depending on how things progress. The digital space, it's definitely interesting. It's an interesting time to be alive, and not necessarily in a good way. I don't know if anybody has been keeping an eye on the various Senate hearings in the US and potential actions that might be coming down the line in respect to Facebook, just to limit their monopoly in the market. All of these agencies, particularly Google, Facebook and Amazon, have had antitrust kind of cases, and they've been fined or penalized because they promote themselves over their audiences. And again, when you own the stage, I guess you'll take full advantage of that, and we shouldn't be surprised by it. But I would feel that maintaining independence and relying on solid digital strategy, and then you roll that out across whatever channel that you choose is right for you, is a better way to approach it, as opposed to relying on one channel for all of your communication and activity.
And then there's another question there. Can I link to another platform, example Etsy, rather than my own web page?
Now, Etsy is unusual in that it's a marketplace as opposed to a platform, but you do have the option to set up an e-commerce website in that space. So you could explore to see what your options are. Ultimately, what you want to check is it depends on how you're set up on Etsy, really is the short answer, but you'll need to import your products somehow. So you can do that a number of ways. Directly connecting with your service provider is one, so you could explore those options. At the moment, you've got Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, and there's a fourth one, Magento. So those are the options that are directly within Instagram. But with Facebook, you can manually add your products and link to specific landing pages for your products there, and that would be a way that you could approach Etsy. So you won't necessarily be able to automate the import, but you could certainly manually do it.
Okay, that's great. I think that's all the questions, Deirdre. There's a good few people commenting to say thank you, and it was a brilliant session and very informative, and they're looking forward to next week already. And
Great.
They're also asking, because they have a copy of the recording. So yeah, I can actually either email it out to people, or all recordings of all our webinars can be found on our website anyway, the DCCI website, but I can email it out to you anyway. So that's no problem.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Oh wait, now there's just one more come in there. Did you see that one? I host creative experiences at my studio. In the past, I had used Facebook to promote the events and paid for advertisement. Since July, Facebook would not allow me to do that, and this too affected my Instagram account. Can you advise what I could do to rectify this?
I probably need some more detail.
Okay, well, we can contact Tracy.
Yeah, I mean, you've a couple of options available there. You could report a problem directly to Facebook. It's quite tricky to find a real life person to assist you when something like this goes wrong. But I'd need to know, like, is it just functionally, is it not working, or have they changed something or limited your access to that? I know there's people in the past have had issues with their advertising, so things they could have done with no issue in the past has changed, but that was on Facebook's end as opposed to an issue with the business themselves. So the first thing I would do would be to report a problem with directly to Facebook themselves, and just see if they can rectify the issue from there. That would be the first protocol. I don't know. Again, I'd need a little more information to know exactly what way to target or address that.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks very much for that, Deirdre.
Great.
And thank you to everybody. And they're looking forward to next week, and look forward to part 2 next
Great.
week.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Take care, Deirdre. Thanks a million.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.